Aries horoscope June 2014 with me, Lada from Astrolada, and this is for everyone who have their sun, moon or ascendant in Aries. And if you don't know your ascendant or moon sign, you can find them out at my birth chart calculator at Astrolada, for which I'm putting a link here. So what happens for you in June, Aries? Well, let's first start with the pleasant energy. Venus, which is the planet of fulfillment, wherever it's passing in the horoscope, this is where you gain most pleasure and fulfillment from. And for the most of June, it will be in your second house. And first of all, second house is financial house. So some of you might gain something. For instance, when Venus passed last time over my second house, I got a little bonus, like a present for £150 that I didn't expect. Like a little donation from a client, which was great. It can be a bit bigger, it can be a bit smaller. You might get some present, or you might acquire some assets. Because second house rules everything tangible that we possess. So you might acquire now in May something that you've wanted for a while. Maybe a beautiful object, maybe a beautiful dress. Last time when Venus passed over my second house, I bought myself 3 beautiful nighties. And I'm not usually someone who shops a lot. So, you know, it's a gentle influence, but it's pleasant. This is where you gain your pleasure from and enjoyment. So it is from material things, from enjoyment of sensual pleasures as well. Second house rules good food, the food that we eat, the things that we possess. So you might gain something, you know, as I said, you might buy yourself something beautiful. You might enjoy more the 5 senses during May. And the second house where Venus will be passing also rules how worthy you feel. So you might decide now to do something, or you will do something that makes you feel worthier in the eyes of your partner, or in the eyes of, you know, of others. Maybe you might make yourself a little bit more attractive, or you might, worth is not always physical thing. Worth is very much something within yourself. So you might do something right now that gives you more self-value. Someone can tell you a compliment or do something for you, which makes you feel more worthy. Okay, and second house also rules friendship, and when Venus passes there, you might have pleasant moments in the company of those very close to you, people that you consider almost like your family, 1 or 2 friends, you know, maybe good conversation, sharing a few glasses of wine, more one-to-one pleasurable enjoyment time. At the same time, Mars continues to be in your 7th house, and 7th house is the house of relationship, partnership, business or personal. And Mars is a little bit of a more angry planet. And that's why there might be some tensions more with people that you're married to, the people that you have long-term relationship with, or that you have a working one-to-one relationship with. So there can be a little bit more tension there. But actually, because Mars is finally moving forward, you're resolving some problems. Some of you might untangle a difficult situation in regards to relationships, in regards to partnership, business, and these things start moving forward. So you put also more force and you put more energy into this kind of affairs, because Mars is your planet. It energizes whatever house it is in and gets your focus there. So there's a lot of focus on relationships as well, and fixing problems there, tackling difficult situations with relationships and moving things forward with those. It might be business relationship again, as we said, to signing a contract for something. At the same time, and especially who will feel it, those who are born from around the 1st till the 8th of April, and it's not going to be the whole of May, but you might feel it, say, for a week, one of the weeks of May, if you're born from the 1st till 8th of April, if you have your ascendant or moon from 10 till 18 degrees, because this is the degrees where Mars is passing. So you might feel a bit more tense, a bit more stressed, but you're also more energized, and relationships can bring you some, you know, some resolvement of fixing problems and issues that you've had there. But also be careful not to overreact, because there will be a few critical days for those people born around those days or on those degrees with Sun or Moon in Aries from 10 to 18, or born from the 1st till 8th of April. And just try not to overreact, because you might create a more tense situation or some kind of enmity, some kind of argument or conflict. The next thing that is happening is that Mercury gets retrograde. And opposite of what most astrologers tell you, Mercury retrograde is not necessarily bad. Mercury retrograde makes you put more focus in the area where it retrogrades, and actually it can bring quite productive results there because its energy gets much more intensified because it gets closer to the Earth. When Mercury is retrograde, it's 3 times closer to the Earth than at other moments. So it's organizing and managing energy, which is very much mercurial, is the left side brain, or which was the logical one, the one that organizes, that thinks logically, rationally. It's going to be retrograde in your 4th house for a little bit, which is the house of fortune. So some of you might start thinking about creating a better fortune right now, especially if your ascendant is in Aries. When Mercury retrogrades in your 4th house, which happens sometimes once every 15 years, it's not so often, and people start thinking about maybe amassing a bit more fortune, how to create something that they can hold on to in the long term. They might start thinking about property, maybe make a plan for how to budget your finances so you can acquire property maybe 5 years from now. Maybe you can do the first steps towards buying property or home, or something that makes you more fortune, or even starting some business, because 4th house is the house of fortune, and Mercury, when it transits there, starts making you organize in regards to how to better create fortune in your life. And it's very often it's more material type of fortune, so it is important period. This Mercury retrograde for Aries, particularly Aries ascendant people, can be very positive and beneficial. And also Mercury gets retrograde in part of your 3rd house, and 3rd house is learning new skills, is learning how to better use your ability. So now for in May, and also in June, and also part of May, some of you Aries will be called to use their skills and their talents and their abilities, and to show these abilities better. They will be called to use those and to put them into use, maybe to create their fortune as well. So you become more skillful as well right now, and somehow more organized in your life. And there might be also more 3rd house is travel, so some of you might plan traveling now, and they say when Mercury is retrograde, don't travel. It's not true. There might be sometimes a little bit more of a, because when a planet is retrograde, it's things go a little bit more slowly, there are a little bit more delays sometimes, but it does bring the manifestation of the house it is retrograding. So there might be more emphasis on travel for some of you on June. That's definitely true for me. I'm Aries. There might be more emphasis on learning new things, on improving your communications and being much more active and engaged in communicating with others, with making contacts as well. And lastly, let's see, I want to give you another date. Around the 25th of June, Mars opposes Uranus in your 1st and 7th house. So basically, some of you should watch out around the 25th of June, maybe 2-3 days before, 2-3 days after, because the energy is a bit more tense. There might be some conflict maybe with others, one-to-one, so this is a day to watch out for. There might be some rash decisions, and I warn you not to take rash decisions right now, not to throw the baby out with the water, because this is kind of a bit more tense energy between these two quite energizing planets, and to be careful with partnerships, with one-to-one communications around the 25th of June. This is for you, Aries, for the month of June, and write to me and share your stories.